Hearing no objection, so ordered. Our first item is a public hearing. It's the First Amendment to the city's 2010-2011 Annual Action Plan for the creation of a special economic development program and submittal of a Section 108 loan application to HUD. Jessica McKeating, please.
Good evening, Madam Chairperson and members of the agency board. Before you tonight is a public hearing for the First Amendment to the 2010-2011 Annual Action Plan to create a special economic development program and also authorization to submit a Section 108 loan application to HUD. There will be no decreases in the current CDBG budget as a result of this loan, and the payment will be made from program income the city receives from Fremont Plaza, which was a previously assisted Section 108 loan project. The Section 108 loan assistance is a flexible program designed by HUD to assist participating jurisdictions in undertaking projects that meet the national objectives set forth by CDBG. Assisting the two proposed developments would create an estimated 348 low and moderate income jobs, which does absolutely satisfy the national objective. The amendment was presented to the HCDA on September 7th. They unanimously approved it, and the 30-day public review period started on September 8th and ended on October 8th. No comments were received in that public review period. In addition to staff, Mark Briggs, our Section 108 loan consultant, is here tonight to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. I will open the public hearing, and I do have one card. Eric Sonata.
Eric Sonata, 805 East Pine Street. I just want to say that I think the use of these CDBG funds are, it's the exception that they should be used for subsidizing retail development and not the norm. Although from the presentations we've heard from city staff, it would seem otherwise. At the, I think it was about a month ago at a council meeting or ARA meeting, I asked for a more detailed explanation of basis of estimates for the job creation programs, mitigating factors for how they plan to keep the jobs to Alhambra residents who are in need. And I haven't seen that evidence. $55 million is a good amount of money. And I would have hoped that there would be more open discussion about this before making a decision. Up to this point, I think, from what I could tell, it's just basically a rubber stamp that it's about to go through without really any dialogue. I encourage you guys to engage me right now as well. You know, I think, like I said, if the $4.9 million is a relatively small amount for the overall development costs for where it's planned to go to, but it's a significantly large number when directed directly to the people that it's targeted for. So I don't know what to say. I've come back a couple times, and I'm disappointed there's no more open dialogue, that the council isn't asking more questions. Again, the use of funds for subsidizing retail development is really the exception that really needs to be justified with solid basis of estimates, comparisons to how they come up with the job estimates that are going to be created, how do they compare with actual implementations in the city with different like-sized retail centers, how do you prevent an employer from taking what should be a full-time job and cutting it up into 3 or more part-time jobs, thereby foregoing paying benefits. In other words, how can we ensure that what they pay is a livable wage? I'm not here to argue one way or another about development. What I'm saying is that just don't do it with the people's money unless you have good justification. So I encourage you guys to create a dialogue, and if there's any questions for me, want to know my feelings? Or?
Well, I can assure you, Mr. Sonata, when we had our first one, and I came across these pictures last night, this was when we received our first Section 108 check from then Secretary of HUD, Andrew Como, which allowed us to build our Toys R Us Center, which has been a great benefit to this community. The employees, our residents of the city of Alhambra, it cleaned up I don't know if you remember what that corner looked like, but it truly was blighted. And hopefully the intent is that this second application of the project that we're doing will be just as successful as our first one.
I hear you, but I think staff could correct me if I'm wrong, but I would think that HUD, the federal sponsor for these grant programs, would not consider any of those areas blighted, although the analysis that the city contracted for shows otherwise. And that would be fine. More power to you if you can show that the benefit is getting to the people who are in need, low, moderate income people. I don't see any evidence of that. I've heard justification that it's trickle-down economics where we create this development and it'll trickle down, but that's pretty tough to argue in this economy these days. And I wish I could have seen more alternatives discussed for the Section 108 loans, possibilities of other things that can be used for. If you so decide to go with the development, so be it. But I haven't even heard alternative uses, and I think
HUD is very, very stringent on their regulations and their uses. So
right.
I can assure you, there's no funny stuff with HUD.
No, I'm not saying otherwise, but I'm saying is that there are alternative uses for it that can be put more directly to the people in need, which is really the true intent of what the program is for. I agree that they do allow economic development, but under certain conditions, which I argue is not applicable here. But
Thank you.
In addition, we received one letter with regard to this item, which will be made a part of the record for this hearing, and it was submitted by Sonia McIntosh, and it is a letter in opposition to the project at the corner of, near the corner of Fremont and Mission, specifically the Rakovich property.
Thank you.
Oh.
Should I close the public hearing? Yeah. Seeing no further comments, I'll close the public hearing and take council discussion.
I would hate to have the public and anyone who's watching think that anyone who comes up here with half an idea or half knowledge has a command of what is required from HUD. Our city staff is we have an outstanding staff. Our city manager does one of the best at complying with our HUD requirements. A certain percentage has to be used for housing. A certain percentage could be used for job creation. And there's a whole litany of requirements and uses that we could apply these funds that we have available to us. If we choose to spend it in one way, HUD looks at that, evaluates it based on their findings and our findings, and doesn't write a check to us for any project if they feel it doesn't meet their requirements or their goals. So HUD and the city of Alhambra has to be in line to do any project that we do. So because someone comes up and presents half facts and half truths doesn't make it true. And saying that we need good justification to spend the people's money, we do. And if someone doesn't agree with us, that's fine. But we present that to HUD. HUD thinks we do have good justification for what we do. And when they say we're not here to argue with the development, I think that's exactly what's happening here tonight. So our project, we're going to take $5 million and take a property that's probably worth much less than that, maybe $30 million, total, and create an $80 million property, and we'll get property tax on $80 million rather than $30 million. And that $5 million that we spend is just seed money for what will come back to us years from now and resupply our HUD funds, resupply our redevelopment funds, resupply our city funds so we can do even more to help the disadvantaged. So this is a great project and a great the redevelopment agency is doing great things to promote housing, promote redevelopment, give jobs to people who are underprivileged, and I want everybody to understand that just because one or two people come up and criticize what we do doesn't mean they have a command of the knowledge of what's involved in HUD. And our staff and our city manager surely have that. Thanks.
Thank you.